Hey guys, welcome back to another segment of Agree to Disagree, A2D. I'm Michael. I'm here with Bryan. Today we are going to be going over your breakout / league winner players, the guys that you can get late in your drafts that are going to explode your chances of winning leagues. BT, I know this is something that we talk about all the time. We've gone over our rankings for all positions. These are the guys that might have been left off those rankings, or maybe we might have them a little low. You can get them deep in drafts. These are the guys that we always target.
Right. These are breakout players. To me, these are guys that aren't household names yet, but they're about to become household names after this year. You can maybe get them. We might have had, I know I got some of these guys that were mentioned in my rankings because I'm high on them for this year, but they weren't, they might not be as high on your, as most rankings. To me, these are guys that, like I said, are going to become stars.
Mm-hmm.
And right off the gate, I'll just spit one out. For me, my top one, my top breakout guy for me is Michael Pitman Jr. I had him high in my rankings, higher than most. And for me, it's just the quarterback position, man. He's got Matt Ryan thrown to him now, and that dude, he's in year 3. He's a freak athlete. He's got, and like I said, Matt Ryan.
Yeah.
So
Better
Matt
quarterback.
Ryan,
Maybe the best quarterback he's
Matt
played
Ryan,
with.
dude. That, like, I was high on Calvin Ridley last year because of Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan, whether it was Julio Jones, Roddy White, Tony Gonzalez back in the day, that fool can hook it up to the pass catchers. And Michael Pittman, he's the best one by far on the Colts. So I think that's going to be a really good combination, and I think he's in for a breakout type season. Probably like 12 touchdowns, 1,400 yards type season, like a really good season, like wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2 type season.
Yeah, man, I agree with you. I think Pittman's going to be, one of the guys that we're going to be talking about here, down the stretch. Everybody's going to try to trade for him because he gets drafted late. My number one breakout player this year, people know him. He was a first-round pick. It's Jerry Judy. So, everything that I've been reading about Jerry Judy is how his work ethic and how he's been balling with Russ since Russ got traded. So it kind of has that feel like they're going to have that chemistry. They're going to have, he's just going to be that guy. He's already a route technician. I mean, you watch this guy run routes. He was a first rounder for a reason. He dealt with some ankle injuries last year. But Jerry Judy, to me, he could be deep. He's going to be the guy that he's going to be looking. Everybody's talking about Courtland Sutton. Pass on Courtland Sutton. Go after Jerry Judy. If he's sitting there, as the board lays out, I've been seeing him going like the 6th, 7th round. Guys, that's a steal. I mean, he's going to definitely, in my opinion, be a top 20 receiver, somebody that can go in the top, 3 or 4 rounds. And if you're getting him in 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, depending on how far he drops, that's a steal. So Jerry Judy is my number one breakout player that you have to target. He didn't have a touchdown last year. He's going to have touchdowns this year.
Yeah, he's going to have several. He is my next guy on my list, actually. And to me, he's like Russell Wilson. He has DK, who just got paid, by the way. DK has a limited route tree. And then you got Tyler Lockett, who doesn't have a limited route tree, but he has limited size. Mm-hmm. So he had to like pick one, and they don't both have their limitations. Well, Jerry Judy has some size. He can get open. So I'm right there with you. I was on the Judy train last year, a year early. This year, this is the year. I'm with you on Jerry Judy for sure. To stay on the receivers, man, another guy that I got kind of high on, dude. I heard Aaron Rodgers talking about going from one Hall of Fame receiver to another Hall of Fame receiver, from Davante Adams to Allen Lazard. Man, he's hyping up Allen Lazard pretty good. And to me, if the targets are going to be there from one of the most accurate passers in the history of the sport, then, if the volume's there and the accuracy is there, the running game is going to be really good in Green Bay. So I feel like he's going to have some opportunity. So Allen Lazard, man, I think he's going to have a good year. He's a guy that you can get as definitely a wide receiver 3. I feel really comfortable.
Yeah, man. 2 years ago, he had a game against the Detroit Lions, and Aaron Rodgers basically brought him up off the practice squad. And again, Aaron Rodgers, if he likes you, he's going to target you. And, he's now the wide receiver 1 in Green Bay. I don't think anybody is really kind of disputing that. He's going to be, he's definitely a breakout player. He's definitely a guy that no one's really talking about, especially since Davante Adams left. I mean, this guy, he's got big shoes to fill, but not saying that he's Devontae Adams, but he is going to fill some of those shoes, and he's going to have a really, really good year. And if we're staying on receivers, another one I have is Elijah Moore. Last year, this guy had some games where he had 25-point outbursts, and Zach Wilson was kind of the catalyst last year. Like, he was kind of the one that was holding Elijah Moore back. If you're asking me, they have a lot of backup receivers and stuff like that. I think Elijah Moore is going to have a quietly one of the big fantasy outputs this year. If he's a guy that you can draft to start on your bench, I think he's somebody that you could really, really be comfortable in a flex position, a wide receiver 2 or 3 position. And as time goes on, he's on a team that people kind of forget about when it comes to fantasy. But this year, they might be a little bit better than they were last year. Robert Saleh has that team in an ascending role. I'm not going to tell them a playoff team, but I think they're going to be trailing a lot. I think Elijah Moore is a guy you could target, especially for your bench late in drafts.
Late, maybe. I know he had some good games last year. For me, I'm honestly, I'm kind of in a disagreement with you, because for me, it's Garrett Wilson is their first round wide receiver this year, and I think him and Zach Wilson, a little Wilson to Wilson combination in New York. I think that guy is going to have a better year. That's the Jets receiver that I want to target. Corey Davis is there too. But I think the 2 youngsters have more explosiveness to them, so I think those are going to be the guys. But for me, Garrett Wilson, if I'm going that way, he's not making my breakout list though. That's for sure. If I'm continuing,
he'd be a deep sleeper. But
yeah,
I mean, I like Elijah Moore's speed, and I like he's a good route runner. He's going into his second year. He definitely developed some chemistry with Zach Wilson last year. I think that he even had chemistry with the third string running back. So, Garrett Wilson's a guy that nobody's drafting. He's going to come off of waivers at some point in the season, probably, if you're right. So, but if you're going to be drafting guys, that's Elijah Moore to me.
For sure. To just keep going with the guys breakout, we're going to stay on the receivers. I got another one. Actually, got a couple more. Gabe Davis. We saw him coming on at the end of last year. I'm sure he's on most people's breakout list, but how can you not be? He's the clear wide receiver 2 on offense that has Josh Allen throwing the ball, and they're honestly more of a pass first offense. I know they got a running back that might make this list here too, but they rely on Josh Allen, and they got Diggs out there. They got Gabe Davis. I think, to me, he's the clear-cut second best pass catcher. I think they have like Isaiah McKenzie and then Dawson Knox at tight end. So they got but Gabe Davis, to me, he came on strong. So I think he's going to go mid to late rounds, and you're going to feel pretty good having him, because he could have big games. We saw him have a 4-touchdown game. He can go off.
Yeah, you're going to segue me into running backs because you already kind of alluded to it, but I want to go over the wide receiver position real quick in Buffalo. So if you guys aren't watching training camps for all 32 teams, some people don't like to do that. They just like to go off gut feeling. That's understandable. We watch training camps for all teams. We know kind of what's going on. We listen to all the little tea leaves, so Stephon Diggs came out today. He talked about 2 guys. Now, Gabe Davis is obviously going to be the number 2 receiver, and he's going to have a big year. We have gone back and forth and talked about this guy since, last year. We obviously are really high on Gabe Davis, and he's going to have a big year. Again, he's going to be a breakout player. You talked about like McKenzie and stuff like that. It's actually going to be Khalil Shakir. I had it written down. Khalil Shakir. Yeah, that kind of name. So Stephon Diggs is really talking about that guy. He's going to be their 3rd receiver, but Gabe Davis is going to be their number 2, and Stephon and Gabe are going to probably soak up all the targets. But Khalil Shakir, keep an ear out for that name.
Deep sleeper, huh?
Yeah, I have him written down under deep sleeper, but just keep an ear out for that name. He's not a guy you're going to draft. He's a guy you're going to pick up off waivers 3 or 4 if he starts to make a splash. But going right into another Buffalo Bill, James Cook. You already alluded to it. He is my number 1 overall running back. Now, I'm a Vikings fan. I know his brother, obviously, very, very well.
Wait,
I watch his brother.
He's not your number 1 overall running back.
No, he's my breakout running back.
Number one breakout
running back.
Woo.
Yeah, he's no, he's not my not yet. Give him a couple years, maybe we'll talk. No, but he's back at Georgia, man. This guy he's elusive, he is powerful, he is just like his brother. And you're picking his brother in, maybe the top 5 of your draft. James Cook you're talking about breakout players. Devin Singletary is obviously still there. I know Zach Moss is still there. But James Cook, to me, might lead all 3 of those guys in fantasy points this year, and you're going to be able to get James Cook later on in your drafts. He is somebody that if he is on your bench, you are looking really, really pretty, especially if you have 2 RB1s. You're looking really pretty if you have James Cook right behind him.
Dude, yeah, because the best part about him is ADP. I've done a handful of mocks already.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to get into our mock here next week. But yeah, man, the ADP on him, like you said, Singletary has been going higher, and he has more upside. So I'm with you. I think that Cook could have a big year. If he's got the talent that his brother's got, then hell yeah, he could have a big year. Real quick, just to wrap up, I had one more breakout wide receiver that I think is going to be, and I had him last year for a few games. I started him and he had one solid game, but it's Rashad Bateman on the Baltimore Ravens, just because of volume. People might know about him, so I might not be breaking any news here, but Rashad Bateman, I feel pretty comfortable with him. I saw you speaking of training camp, he's looking good. There's actually a connection going between him and Lamar. He was a first-round pick. He's got talent. So for me, Rashad Bateman, he's a wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4, potential flex kind of guy that you can get in there.
Yeah, and real quick before we move on from receivers, I just have a guy that I brought up last year, or actually I drafted last year. I was really high on last year. I think he actually has the opportunity this year with all the circumstances going on that are kind of going in his favor, and the connection that he has is Brandon Ayuk. So Brandon Ayuk right now, I mean, he's going a lot deeper than Debo. Debo's holding out. Debo is at camp. He is just not participating in camp. So that connection with Trey Lance, it's pretty well written right now. They're talking about how he is looking Brandon Ayuk's way on like 60% of his passes in camp. Now, if that translates over to week 1, I mean, that's going to be huge. That's going to be absolutely monster because Ayuk's going way late because of the way he performed last year. So I know he's not a breakout player. He's not we already kind of know his name because of the rookie season he had, but he is a guy that could reemerge as a wide receiver 1, a wide receiver 2, because of the chemistry he has with Trey Lance.
I'm glad you brought that up, man. Honestly, I'll take it one step further. He's going to have a better year than Debo. Debo's a guy that needs the ball. He doesn't create a lot of separation. He has the ball, and then good luck trying to tackle that fucking guy. Like that. But as far as a quarterback looking downfield, which Trey's going to do that. This isn't Jimmy here. They're not designed to get it out quick. They're going to unleash this kid. And if you're going to go with Ayuk, I think Ayuk is going to have a good year. And since we're on that, let's get right into it. Trey Lance is my breakout quarterback. And to me, I think he's guaranteed going to be a top 10 fantasy quarterback, maybe even higher. This dude is going to have a good year, man. I alluded to it when he was on my quarterback rankings, and I think that he's got an offensive line. He's got a running game. He's got receivers. He's got the most talented tight end in the game. He's got an offensive coach, man. And he's got a coach that I feel like is going to prove why he drafted this guy. Because Mac Jones, you're hearing all kinds of reports. They could have had him. They could have had Justin Fields, and you're hearing these good news about these guys. But Patrick Mahomes set out his rookie year. Trey Lance, I'm not saying he's going to be Pat Mahomes and have like an MVP season like Patty did, but he's going to have a damn good season. So for me, Trey Lance, I think that he's going to take him to the playoffs. We'll see when they get there, but he's going to have a good year, and you're going to want him on your fantasy. Like Jalen Hurts came on, and everyone wanted him. So like I said, he's going to I guarantee a top 10, but I wouldn't be surprised if he finishes top 5.
I had him a little lower on my quarterback rankings because of the uncertainty. And everybody, I've been reading reports of how it's the Jordan Love and Aaron Rodgers situation all over again. And it's, trading up for a quarterback and he's not that good. I think Trey Lance is a good quarterback. I think it was a lot to give up at that time. But now that Kyle Shanahan has come out, says Trey Lance is our quarterback. This is his team. We are moving forward with Trey. And that was the uncertainty that I needed to hear from Kyle Shanahan to really boost him up my board, because there was still that really small chance in the back of my mind, like, are they really going to come back with Jimmy? Like, does Jimmy give him a better chance to win? No, he doesn't. I don't really think he does. I think Trey is, like you brought up Jalen Hurts. That's a really good comparison. I think he's going to have an emergence like Jalen Hurts did. And he's similar quarterback. I mean, really, honestly, if you look at how they play, they're very, very similar. And Jalen Hurts,
he's taller and has a bigger arm.
Yeah, quarterback 1 or 2 last year. And yeah, you're right. Trey Lance, I mean, this guy, there was comparisons to Josh Allen out of the draft. And that's probably how he's going to play. And if he has that gun, like everybody's talking about, this kid could very, very well be the league winning quarterback when we're all said and done in week 17.
Breakout, Trey Lance.
Absolutely. Going back into running backs for a little bit, I have another guy out of Houston. He's right now slated as their RB3, but is Damien Pierce. So Damien Pierce, now Marlon Mack kind of has that lead role only because of the name. And then I know Rex Burkhead's still there. I see Damien Pierce kind of going into that James Robinson role. A couple years ago when James Robinson came out of nowhere on a really bad team, got all this volume, and out of nowhere he scored like he was running back 3 for the year. I'm not going to sit here and say Damien Pierce is going to be the running back 3, but I see him kind of emerging from that role as the RB3, taking over Marlon Mack and Rex Burkhead, because personally, I think he's the more talented back. He's got the younger, fresher legs. He doesn't have a history of any injury in his knees or anything like that, like Marlon Mack and Rex Burkhead both do. So I think he's going to take over. That's going to be a young offense. They are obviously not very good. They're going to be trailing. He actually can catch the ball out of the backfield pretty well. And he's built like a truck also. So, I mean, I think this kid's going to come on. And again, he's a guy that you can get later on down the line. And again, if he's on your bench, you might, in weeks 13, 14, you're going to be starting to wheel him out, and you're going to start, especially the playoffs, and you might have yourself an absolute gem.
I like the comparison for James Robinson and the volume that you brought up. Those were spot on. I think that's what you're going to get for him. You mentioned the 2 other guys. They're journeymen at this point. They're old guys. They're going to give it to the youngster. They got Davis Mills at quarterback. They got a bunch of young guys. They're young. Lovie Smith too. It's not like they got a spread it out type of offense. They're going to give it to the guy that can pound it, and that's going to be him. So on volume alone, he's going to have value for sure. So he's the definite back you want in that offense, definitely. So I'm with you on that for sure. I'm not saying he's going to have a James Robinson. You were spot on. Not a James Robinson type of year, but a solid year volume-wise alone. Getting into running backs, Breakout, I think I put him on this list. I don't know if it's because maybe the app I'm drafting from, but it's Cam Akers, the running back from the Rams. He's going to have a big-time year, but he's average draft position is probably like 12 to 15 for running back. And to me, that's ridiculous. I think he's look at the offense he's in.
Yeah.
He's going to be the pass catching guy. He's going to average probably 15 to 20 points a game. Dude, I think to me, Cam Akers is a RB2, borderline RB1. So for me, Cam Akers, I don't know if you consider him a breakout because guys know who he is, but he hasn't had that breakout year yet, that full season. He had a few weeks as a rookie, and then even last year towards the end of the year when he got healthy again, he had some good games, but he's never had that breakout year till this year.
So really, the only other running back on that roster that might bolster some touches would be Darrell Henderson. I mean, Sony Michel's not there anymore. I mean, Cam Akers, dude, is going to be a bell cow back. I mean, he is the most talented guy on that roster, hands down. It's not even close. I keep doing comparisons. I don't like to do comparisons, but his role to me might be very similar to Joe Mixon's role in Cincinnati. I mean, they're almost very similar running backs. And I mean, Joe Mixon, again, was a top 10 running back last year, and he was even dealing with injury. Cam Akers, man, in the playoffs, I mean, I know he had the rough game against the Bucks, but he
just fumbled a couple of times, but he's
yeah,
still getting off. Like if you take away those fumbles, then he had a good game, and they might blow us out a little bit more. You know, the turnovers let us back in it, anyways. But yeah, he's got talent.
Yeah, I see him coming out and really, you're right. He's not necessarily a breakout because people know about Cam Akers. I can't put my mind around how people are. I saw him on somebody's ranking where he was running back 20. I don't understand how you can drop Cam Akers to running back 20. I think Cam Akers on my list, going back real quick, I have my notes here. On our list, I have him as running back number 13.
Yeah, 12 for me.
Yeah, and I mean that's where he should be drafted. But let's be real, he could very easily be a top 10 guy. Very easily. He's so talented. He can do both.
He will be. He definitely will be.
He's going to be a bell cow.
The only thing that's going to stop him is injury. That's it. If assuming he stays healthy, this is his breakout season for me, for sure.
Yeah, and I think he's poised for a bell cow role. I really do.
Right.
You know, there's obviously 10 elite names in the running back world. So him being at 12, he's going to emerge as probably one of those top 10 picks next year because that's the role he's going to play this year. So
you got any other breakout backs?
As far as running backs, I mean, as far as breaking out, you know, there's some very good value guys, but as far as breakout guys that we don't know yet, that's pretty much it for me. Travis Etienne, everybody knows.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's I mean he's a name. I got two more running backs on my guys, and you just mentioned Etienne. To me, he hasn't had a good year yet. He hasn't played yet. Mm-hmm. But he's going to be in an offense that is more of a spread offense to where I don't think James Robinson, some people are high on him. He was in a volume position. He replaced Leonard Fournette and when Lenny left originally, and they had an offense that was built to run the ball, and he took all that volume when they did that when Lenny was gone. Now that they're in a more of a spread offense, this is going to fit this dude a lot more. He's going to take like the Austin Eckler type role. He's not going to be the bruising guy. He's not going to score as many touchdowns. That was a bad comparison probably to bring up. But either way, he's a good pass catching guy. So I think he's going to get 5 to 7 targets per game. And the targets he gets are high percentage. So PPR wise, he's going to get 4 or 5 points just on catches, give him 25, 30 yards, you know, like he's going to have around 10 points just on that. You know, if he scores, he's going to be around the 20s, you know, and that's not even counting run the ball. He's going to get some carries too, and he's got some explosiveness. He can hit some home runs. So Travis Etienne, I won't be surprised to see him, man. Like he's going to be the guy you want for sure. I think I want to say finishes in a top 10 running back, but right in that range. I think he's going to be a guy that's RB2 for sure by the end of the year.
So last year going into the draft, you know, there was a big theme of how there was chemistry with, you know, the receivers from college and all this with the quarterbacks. So Travis Etienne played with Trevor Lawrence, you know, and you know when they were in college. There's already the chemistry there. They won some national championships together. I mean, it's going to be there. I think that's why, you know, Urban Meyer, I think he saw that when he drafted him. And I mean, that was probably the one good thing the guy did while he was in Jacksonville. And then he got a freak injury and he was out for the season. You're right about James Robinson. He is dependent on volume. He's going to probably be the early first down back, but Travis Etienne's probably going to outsnap James Robinson 60 to 40, maybe even more than that.
And they're going to throw it more than they are going to run it, I feel.
Yeah.
It's time for Trevor Lawrence to figure it out. It's going to be on him.
So the problem with Trevor Lawrence last year was they were trying to run just a single back, you know, just a very generic and vanilla offense. Trevor Lawrence in college ran like a spread offense. I mean, he threw the ball over the yard, and he had a guy like Travis Etienne that he was comfortable with out of the backfield. And that's what made him great in college. So you're right. They're going to get back to that. They have guys that can bust the top off. You know, they brought Zay Jones in. He's a pretty good deep threat. Christian Kirk can get the ball down the field. So there's
Evan Ingram at tight end too.
well, Evan Ingram, we'll get into Evan Ingram on a different show, and we'll talk about that. Marvin Jones too is a possession receiver, so they have some guys that he can throw the ball to now. And I'm not going to sit here and say Jacksonville is going to ascend into a playoff position team.
They'll be better though.
They have talent where they can be borderline. That defense is better than people think. He might get the ball a little bit more often. And Travis Etienne is a guy but he's pretty obvious. Everybody's talking about Travis Etienne. I wanted to not be so obvious, but we have to bring him up. I mean, we absolutely have to bring him up.
Right. And I'll be obvious too about this next one, I guess. J.K. Dobbins. He hasn't had a breakout year yet. He's on the PUP list. We'll see. I think we'll see how many games he misses. I'm not going to speculate on an injury, but we'll keep that in mind. But I think at most it's 6 weeks. I don't think it'll even be that. We'll see. Like I said, I'm not going to speculate how long. But when he's there, man, he's the most talented running back in the room on a running back heavy team. So how can you not want a guy like that? Sure, guys probably know about him, but he's a guy you're definitely going to want to target. And you can get him late too. You and I both had him higher than most because we understand how talented he is and the offense that he's in. The reason he's not getting drafted is because people are just worried about that injury. We're not sure how long it's going to be.
Yeah, he tweeted out that everybody's making speculations that he's not going to be healthy. He's not going to be. He pretty much said, he goes, I'm damn well going to be ready for week 1. Now, players will say that and then not be ready for week 1. Sometimes you have to save players from themselves. But I fully expect him to be ready for week 1, man. I kind of hope he is. 2 years ago, man, he had breakout games. He didn't necessarily have a breakout year, but he had breakout games. And I think it was a game against Cincinnati where he went off for damn near 35, 40 points. I mean, he just was all over the place. And that's who he can be. And they don't really have that very many explosive options other than, you talked about Mark Andrews in tight end rankings, Lamar, and then Rashad Bateman. But they don't really have much on that offense. And they're going to have to score somewhere. And they run the ball a lot. And I like J.K. Dobbins, dude. I think he's a damn good back. And again, he's a league winner. If he's your RB3, because you're drafting 2 RB2, high, and you get him in the 5th or 6th round, you're balling.
Right. I have him as my RB19.
Yeah.
So to me, like as a breakout, he can do, if he's healthy week 1 and he can play week 1, shit. He might be another guy up in there, dude. Like he could be a breakout player. Keep an eye on him.
Absolutely. I only have one more guy on my list, and he's a tight end. And this is a guy I'm going to get a lot of shit for this one. I know I am. This is a guy I talked when we first started the podcast, we did a lot of DFS. And I talked about this guy in DFS, and then 3 weeks in a row, he'd have 6 catches, 60 yards, and a touchdown really quietly because he plays for a really terrible team. And that's Brevan Jordan. So Brevan Jordan out of Houston, this guy, they don't have very many, other than Brandon Cooks, they don't have anybody to throw the ball to. This guy is a big-bodied guy. He is very athletic, and I think he's not gonna be a top 5. We're not gonna talk about him in the Kelsey range. We're not gonna talk about him in there. But we're gonna start talking about this kid. I guarantee you, by week 6 or 7, he's gonna start coming off the waivers because people are gonna start to realize who this kid is. And Davis Mills really looked his way last year. And now that he's a starter down there in Houston, again, deep sleeper. But I think he's a breakout guy, especially when tight end. I mean, there's 10 tight ends that you might target. If you skip all the way down the row and you need a tight end, this was a guy I didn't mention on my tight end rankings because I wanted to really give him a boom.
Yeah, man, for sure. We'll see. I mean, nobody really knows about it. I doubt he's even gonna get drafted, honestly. So if he does, and you hit that, man, that could be huge. That's it for me though. I don't for breakout guys. Those are the guys that I feel are a little undervalued. These are guys that are gonna, like I said, become household names at the end of this year, and next year they're gonna be jumping out like Jamar Chase. For me, I had him as a breakout guy last year. Sounds good now, but trust me, I did. So and like we'll see how it comes this year. These are our breakout guys. Let us know if you guys have any breakouts that we missed. But yeah, anything else, Big Dog?
Yeah, you guys. Again, let us know. Instagram, Facebook, YouTube comments, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Let us know who we're missing. There's a couple guys that we didn't talk about that are probably extremely obvious, but let us know what you guys think. We need to hear your input so we can go on our next show. We can maybe have some topics that we can touch on, or we might disagree with you, and we'll tell you why we disagree with you. And we'll, at the end of the season, we'll see who's right. I know on Instagram and and Facebook, we get a lot of guys that go back and forth between players, and that's what we feed on. So let us know. Hit that subscribe button. Follow for future shows. And BT, anything else?
No, man, that's it. These are our breakout guys. We got sleepers and busts coming up next, and then we're gonna do a mock draft. We're gonna have some of our fellow 951 Champions League champions. We got Eric and Josh gonna join us for a mock draft we're gonna do. So stay tuned for that. Like you said, subscribe. We'll catch you guys next time.
All right, peace.